My name is Frank Candid. I'm a junior detective at Verite High School, a secondary school for criminal justice and law. I've been studying here for a few years, and some would consider me a decent character.
Afternoon, Jess.
How's it going, Frank?
I actually need a ride home today, if you don't mind.
Alright, I gotcha.
How was the PBA?
Oh, you should know better than to ask me. I'm the best, remember?
This is Jazz Vane, a prosecutor in training at our school. He also happens to be giving me a ride home today.
You know, I hope the weather doesn't get any worse than it already is. I heard it's supposed to storm today.
Really? Is our stuff in your car?
Yes, there was a murder in room 55.
Yes,
Verite High School.
The murder has just taken place in my room. Number
Yes,
55.
Yes, we need the crime scene unit here.
What's happening?
Murder has just taken place up in my room.
What? How would that
A
happen?
law campus.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
Yes.
Wait a minute. This is our chance.
A chance to what?
We can observe the scene of a crime.
Well, you know, that's not a bad idea. I could always ask the administration. And I could have my best students work on it.
No. The police says that would mess up their investigation.
He does have a point. It would be interesting, but I don't want to interfere with the police.
Tampering with they said it could be considered tampering with the crime scene. Dispatch says that the crime lab won't be able to be here for a while because of the bad weather out there.
Well, I guess we can observe, at least it'll give us time to observe the crime scene. I could always have my two best students examine it. Maybe they can identify the victim.
Thank you, Professor Fair.
I don't know what I'm getting into, but let's do it.
I really had no idea what I was getting into. Professor Fair joined us alongside another eccentric yet promising forensics in training by the name of Jack Hope.
We can start mapping the crime scene as the most important aspect of an investigation.
Sorry, sir. What are you measuring in again?
In feet?
So, the victim was Tyler Corpus. Huh?
Oh, really?
Really? I knew him from a class last year. He was a decent student. What happened here?
Looks like your computer was tampered with.
What?
Yeah, you've got your grading database open.
First my keys, then my computer? First I come from break, I noticed that I don't have my keys in my pocket, now it's not on my desk. Maybe this murder has something to do with my proctoring today.
Missing keys. Got it.
Professor Fair, I'm going to check his pockets if that's okay with you. He's got nothing in his pockets. I think I know what the murder weapon is.
I found something.
Blood spots.
Seems like kind of a small spot with such a blunt trauma.
The killer could have tried erasing it, or there's something could have happened by mistake.
So we formulated our conclusions. It was apparent that Tyler Corpus was killed by a blunt object. I suggested that it was the desk lodged in the center of the room. Vane found a textbook that belonged to a friend of mine, Red Herring, under Professor Fair's desk. This was troubling, but we had a potential suspect. Through observations made by the others, we determined several things: Fair's missing keys, the open window, the lack of motive for the victim to be in this location, and most strangely, the lone blood spot on the paper. Vane was certain that Red was our suspect. While Hope and Vane departed to gather a forensic kit as well as investigate the ground floor, we were able to find a witness through campus security. And this is where our real story unfolds.
Alright, I'm here now. What do you want?
You must be the witness.
That's right, Frank. What are you doing here? Isn't this supposed to be run by a real professional?
Prof. Fair gave me legal permission to investigate. This is a legal academy, after all.
Sure, you're a detective as much as I'm a real officer.
There seems to be something different about you today.
Yeah, I lost my glasses earlier.
Lost them.
Yes, I did. Do you have a problem with that?
This is Ina Sant, a childhood friend that I grew up with. She's always been a sensitive person, but I had no idea that she had joined the student-run campus security.
Do you monologue about everyone, Frank?
What are you talking about? Was that not in my head?
You're so strange.
Alright, anyways, we need to get back to business. I was informed that you witnessed something important to us for this investigation.
That's right. Do you want me to tell you about it?
We would appreciate that, please, and less shouting if possible.
Alright, I can try. I was entering the hallway from the other side of the building. I thought I heard something, so I came upstairs to investigate. When I actually went and turned to the other side of the hallway, I thought I saw someone leaving the room. They were in a rush and they made it downstairs. Since I had no idea what was going on, I just went downstairs until it was called upon.
That was pretty vague.
Why don't you ask me to elaborate then?
What were you doing in this building?
My patrol from the campus to the end of the day was in this building. When I heard a loud bump, I figured something was going on upstairs.
Don't you always hear students banging their desks? I wouldn't find it surprising.
Yeah, but this was after classes were released, so I didn't think of it this way.
So you walked up to the second story and opened the double doors. You said you saw someone leaving the room?
Yeah, I saw them.
Can you describe what they look like?
See, that's the tricky part to explain.
What do you mean tricky? You can't tell me what their hair was, their skin color, or anything like that?
There's a problem with that.
What problem?
I, lost my glasses.
Oh, so you're saying that you couldn't see, but even without your glasses, blurred vision, you should have been able to see details.
You should probably know that the electricians were working downstairs.
Oi, you've been in the dark, haven't you?
They had the circuits off for the lights for some time. Hey, we teachers make mistakes too.
Great, so in other words, you saw a suspect. Did he have blonde hair?
I do not know.
Then what do you know?
Jeez, don't be so mean.
Was it a man or a woman?
Oh, it was definitely a guy. I'm pretty sure.
How did you do that, Professor Fair?
Well, you have to know how to deal with the ladies, my student.
I do not have time for my teacher to lecture me on man.
Wait, I did think of something. White and blue.
What?
They were wearing white and blue, I'm sure of it. A slender guy wearing white and blue.
Thank you, Ina. At least now we have some good information. Do you recall the exact time?
A little after the half hour.
Sometime after 4:30 then.
Our window would be from 4:30 to 4:50, a 20-minute span.
Well, there's my testimony. How'd I do?
A lot can happen in 20 minutes. This is neither a court nor am I a defense attorney.
So why'd you have to ruin the fun? You're too serious.
Says the girl who joined campus security.
Regardless, you painted a decent enough picture.
So I can go?
You should probably stick around just in case something comes up.
A male in white and blue clothing. If it happens to be our current suspect, then he hasn't had much time to hide.
I have my reservations about Aaron, but murder? No.
With this testimony, I didn't want to believe it. My friend Red may be a killer. They returned carrying a forensic kit with Red Airing alongside. They also brought a note from the ground floor to which we decided had belonged to Tyler Corpus. The letter confirmed my suspicions. This murder involved blackmail. Now, the biggest question is,
Can we prove that Corpus wrote the letter?
by comparing some of Corpus's past assignments, we were able to determine it as a positive ID. As for Airing, his alibi was that he took the PBA exam after school that day, which, unfortunately, was one of the files erased on Professor Fair's computer. To top it all off, Airing's textbook at the scene of the crime, as well as his vocal rambunctiousness, painted an even bigger target on his back. But the real evidence to dispute was far more glaring. White and blue.
Actually, I had an idea.
No, actually it was my idea. You see, we got this record of Tyler Corpus's signature from the front office. And using some analysis, I was able to match some of the characters in his signature here to a lot of the characters in this note.
To a certain friend, I know everything. I know about the money, the grades, the falsified reports. I know everything. You've been using money to get where you are today. And I've stuck by far too long watching you rub it in my face and ruin my own credibility. But I'm not that kind of person. No. Instead of ruining my life, how about you meet me in Fair's room number 55 after school on Wednesday? I'll be more than happy to talk arrangement to keep quiet. See you after class.
Furthermore, it is a well-known fact that Mr. Airing over here is a very loud-spoken student, and he makes enemies on many occasions.
I defended Red as much as I could until Hope was finished taking fingerprints on specific locations. The windowsill, the desk in question, and Airing's textbook. Our argument took a massive detour here.
I guess I interrupted something.
Did you actually fingerprint the locations?
Yeah, I did what you guys asked. I got the desk, the book, and the keyboard over there.
What about the windowsill?
I actually didn't find any prints over there.
And your findings?
Well, I have 4 different sets of prints. I actually have 4 sets of fingerprints, but when I sent all 4 of them out, one came back immediately, Mr. Fair.
4?
I did touch the textbook after all.
I'm assuming the other 2 prints are from the victim and the suspect.
Assuming that there are no contaminant prints.
Right. Anyways, Mr. Airing,
Yeah, Franklin?
if you're truly innocent, then you should have nothing to hide. Please submit a fingerprint sample.
And you want this knucklehead to fingerprint me? Why? Considering that the majority of dust comes off of his face and not from his kid?
On second thought, let me handle this, Hope.
Really? This is a ridiculous joke, Franklin. You know, all things considered, I'm being treated like a criminal, and if it weren't for the fact that I'm the one involved...
On the
this would
keyboard,
actually be
we
fun.
found only Professor Fair. On the desk, Fair, Corpus, and several other unidentified parties. On the book, however, all 4 prints were found.
That means Professor Fair.
I'm a professor of criminal law. Of course my prints will be all over here.
But your fingerprints are the only ones on that keyboard. Surely we can't ignore that. You might have had something to do with this.
I have to tell you to stop. Here you go again, accusing a third person of this crime.
We have multiple suspects, you idiot. Can't you see? At least I'm not using baseless logic to defend a hopeless battle.
As Vane argued that either of them could have been the culprit, I took a step back to realize that Vane was becoming totally cold and heartless about this. Almost as if he didn't care at all. I really hope this isn't how all prosecutors act.
Well, then I will submit Mr. Hope's report and we'll call it a day. How's that sound?
I'm not comfortable with that after what you just pulled.
Yeah, and I don't want to work with him.
Professor Fair, if we end this now, there'll be no closure. Someone innocent might go to jail.
Oh, I can't ignore any of this either, sir.
Police are already on their way. They're gonna be here any minute.
There has to be something I can do instead of sit here and tremble. Let's see. Let's review the evidence. There has to be an inconsistency I can find. It's the only way I can keep this going until we figure things out. Tyler Corpus wrote a blackmail letter intending to expose somebody who thinks highly of themselves as a cheat. The killer had no intention of settling the dispute with money, and they arrived to silence Mr. Corpus. Mr. Corpus had to have fought back because there's a flipped desk. At some point, the desk was used as a weapon to explain the blunt trauma. The computer files were erased, and the blackmail note was thrown out the window. We found fingerprints from 2 of our suspects, but no fingerprints of a third. Come, there has to be a contradiction here somewhere. Wait! What if someone tampered with the evidence? They might have erased the fingerprints. Jazz accused erring primarily on the stolen textbook, but is that really what happened here? What use did the textbook have? Tyler Corpus used it as a weapon to fight back. He must have hit the perpetrator or threw it, which explains why it was spread open on the floor. So after using the textbook to defend himself, Corpus must have made a break for the door, but was cornered by all of the desks. This must be when the real scuffle of a fistfight happened and the desk was used as a means to end the fight. But we didn't find any blood on the desk, or at the scene, did we? Wait! We did! That tiny speck on the floor, but what could it mean? There was no wound for the blood to come from, so what if it's the killer's blood? Of course, it's a possibility, but what if it's not blood at all? And finally, Ina's statements. She saw someone leaving the room during the electrical outage, but her eyes alone weren't enough to get a solid view. She described it as being a thin male, wearing blue and white. Oh my god! I had something, and I could hardly believe it. I think we've been going about it wrong the entire time. I did a careful review of the evidence, and a shocking revelation hit me.
Oh my god!
What is it?
Listen to him, Mr. Candid, before you make a mistake. I no longer have time to waste on this deliberate attempt to stall.
Deliberate attempt to stall? What?
It's time we all left campus, like me.
You aren't going anywhere, Jazz.
Oh, am I? How about I decide to remain silent then?
You've already said a lot, Jazz. Are you sure it would help?
I think it's time that I invoked my right to remain silent and leave the scene. Let's let the actual investigators take over from here.
If he gets away, any evidence from the crime scene could walk out with him.
Well, what else can we do?
Wait, Jazz, I have a deal.
I don't make deals.
Give me one more chance. If I'm wrong, I'll pull out of the school.
Oh, this is rich. If you really are a man of your word, are you willing to sacrifice that?
I once again thought long and hard on my next piece of logic and reasoning. There was only one way that I could go through with this. And I attacked it with full force.
The blood spot will reveal the truth about everything here.
I have no idea how that'll prove anything. I knew you were full of it.
That's just it, Jazz. It was the one piece of evidence.
Hey, Mr. Candid.
What I'm saying is, it's not a blood spot at all. Ah, so you're catching on now. Let me bring you up to speed. The blood spot is actually a red marker stain from your marker. You dropped it in a fight with the victim.
What?
He takes that marker with him everywhere. I think it'd be only natural if, I don't know, he dropped it if a textbook was thrown at him.
That's way too hard to believe, though.
Not at all. Your marker tip's even squashed. From, pray tell, dropping it at the scene of the crime.
But what reason would I have to be at the scene of the crime?
You're the one always boasting about your perfect grades and your spotless records, and you couldn't stomach the thought of any of that being taken away from you. Let me lay it down for you. Vane has been the one faking his spotless record.
No, I couldn't have.
And when someone who happened to have a bad past with him found out about it, they demanded money in exchange for silence. But Jazz showed up with the motive to shut him up. You didn't expect Tyler to fight back, did you? That's when you dropped your marker over the scuffle over the textbook. You probably knocked him to the floor, moving some desks to block him in.
What did you just say?
And you picked one up and swung it straight at his skull, killing him instantly.
Ready to talk, man?
I presented everything, and finally he broke down. He said he was better than me, that Corpus had it coming. He went on and on until the police arrived, and upon hearing a confession, took him away. At the moment, there was more shock than there was resolve.
I can't believe you did it, Frank.
I'm not really sure what I did today, but if anybody needs to be thanked, it's you and everybody else. Because without Hope, without Aaron, and without all of you, I don't think we would have figured this out.
So where is Hope and Aaron?
Well, Hope is back in the precinct, doing God knows what. And as for Herring, well, I'm going to reassign him that test, considering that he ended up missing. Well, I can't rob you out of an education and a decent grade. Right, Frank?
Wait a minute, what?
Would you consider this a grade?
Wow, wait. You were grading him on this?
Well, you're a little rough around the edges, but you did solve the case and saved a life.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me. I mean, I'm still recovering from everything that just happened, though.
Wait, what are you worried about? You were the hero today.
Well, what else is on your mind, Frank?
It's just the fact that this was Jazz, sir. I thought I knew him, but I guess I didn't at all.
Well, I sure knew what you were talking about that last rebuttal.
To be honest, sir, the majority of that was bluffing, but I did use the clues, and I guess it led me to the right place.
It's getting kind of late. We should get out of here before the police get here and start questioning.
Well, that's a good idea. See you, Frank.
That is. I'll see you guys later, alright?
Wait a second.
Wait a minute. I don't have a ride home.
As the day wound down, I found myself completely exhausted. I made a new friend, and bonds grew closer with others. I didn't see myself as a great detective, but they insisted I was just that. Still, I was partially betrayed by my lack of insight into Jazz. The largest oversight of all hadn't been asked yet, but it was to come. Who did Jazz work with to change his grades at the school?